Robert Duvall died at the age of 95 on February 15, 2026, at his home in Middleburg, Virginia, passing away peacefully, surrounded by love and comfort. His wife, Luciana Pedraza, shared the heartbreaking news in a deeply emotional tribute, describing him as "my beloved husband, cherished friend, and one of the greatest actors of our time." She spoke about a man whose passion for storytelling was only rivaled by his love for rich conversations, unforgettable characters, shared meals with friends, and the simple joys of life. In her words, he wasn't just a legend to the world, he was her everything. The passing of Robert Duvall marks the end of an era in Hollywood. This isn't simply the loss of another celebrity. This is the farewell to one of the last true giants of American cinema, a man whose face, voice, and presence defined generations of film. For over 60 decades, Duvall stood as a pillar of authenticity in an industry often driven by spectacle. He didn't chase fame. Fame found him because greatness couldn't be ignored. To understand the magnitude of this loss, you have to go back to the very beginning. Robert Selden Duvall was born on January 5, 1931 in San Diego, California. He was the son of Admiral William Howard Duvall, a career Navy officer, and Mildred Virginia, an amateur actress who quietly nurtured her son's artistic spark. Growing up in a military family meant discipline, structure, and constant relocation. The family moved frequently, living in different states, which exposed young Robert to different people and environments. That early exposure to different personalities and social dynamics would later serve him well. He became an observer of human behavior, studying posture, tone, habits, without even realizing he was training to become one of the most detailed character actors in film history. Unlike many actors who dream of stardom from childhood, Duvall's path to acting was gradual. After graduating from Principia College in Illinois with a degree in drama, he served in the United States Army during the Korean War era. Military life reinforced the discipline he had grown up with, but his heart kept pulling him toward the stage. When he left the service, he moved to New York City to study at the Neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater under legendary acting teacher Sanford Meisner. It was there that Duvall found himself surrounded by other young actors who would eventually become icons, Gene Hackman and Dustin Hoffman among them. The three shared apartments, struggled financially, and chased auditions across the city. There were stories of them surviving on little money, encouraging each other when rejection letters piled up. In those gritty New York years, Duvall wasn't chasing celebrity, he was chasing truth. He immersed himself in method acting, a technique that emphasizes emotional authenticity and deep psychological connection to character. It's about living truthfully under imaginary circumstances, and Duvall mastered it. His first major film role came in 1962 when he portrayed Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. It was a silent, almost ghost-like role. He had no lines, yet his presence lingered long after the credits rolled. In a film led by Gregory Peck, Duvall managed to create a haunting impression with barely a word spoken. That performance set the tone for what would define his career: subtle power. Throughout the 1960s, he built his resume steadily through television appearances and supporting film roles. He worked relentlessly. Westerns, crime dramas, stage productions, he took on projects that allowed him to explore different emotional landscapes. Directors began noticing that when Duvall entered a scene, the energy shifted. He didn't demand attention, he commanded it quietly. Then came 1972, and everything changed. His portrayal of Tom Hagen in The Godfather placed him in one of the most important films ever made. As the adopted son and consigliere of the Corleone family, Hagen was calm, calculating, and fiercely loyal. While other characters erupted with passion and violence, Hagen represented reason and control. Duvall's performance was so restrained, so measured, that it elevated every scene he was in. He received an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, but more importantly, he became permanently woven into cinematic history. He reprised the role in The Godfather Part 2, deepening the complexity of Hagen as tensions within the Corleone family escalated. His scenes opposite Al Pacino were masterclasses in controlled intensity. Even without raising his voice, Duvall conveyed betrayal, frustration, and devotion with microscopic precision. But if Tom Hagen showed his subtle brilliance, Apocalypse Now revealed his larger-than-life force. In 1979, Duvall stepped into the boots of Lieutenant Colonel Bill Kilgore. The character was fearless, eccentric, and almost mythic. The famous helicopter assault scene set to Wagner's Ride of the Valkyries became one of the most iconic sequences in film history. And when Kilgore uttered the line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning," it became etched into pop culture forever. Duvall's performance was magnetic, terrifying, yet charismatic. He received another Academy Award nomination, proving once again that he could dominate the screen, whether playing quiet intellect or explosive bravado. In 1983, Duvall delivered what many critics consider the performance of his career in Tender Mercies. As Max Sledge, a washed-up country singer battling alcoholism and regret, he stripped away ego and delivered something raw and painfully human. The role required vulnerability, musical performance, and emotional restraint. He didn't play the character for sympathy, he played him for truth. The Academy rewarded him with the Oscar for Best Actor. It was a crowning moment, not just an award, but recognition of decades of dedication to the craft. Over the years, Duvall accumulated 7 Academy Award nominations. He took on roles in The Great Santini, portraying a stern Marine father, in Lonesome Dove, where he embodied the rugged spirit of the American West, in A Civil Action, bringing moral complexity to a corporate legal battle, in The Apostle, a film he wrote, directed, and starred in, exploring faith and redemption, and in The Judge, where he delivered a heartbreaking performance as a dying patriarch opposite Robert Downey Jr. The Apostle, in particular, was deeply personal. When studios hesitated to fund the project, Duvall financed much of it himself. That kind of commitment showed his belief in storytelling over profit. He wasn't chasing box office numbers, he was chasing meaning. As Hollywood evolved, Duvall adapted. He appeared in films across decades, working with younger generations of actors who regarded him with awe. Despite his legendary status, co-stars often described him as humble, approachable, and generous with advice. Adam Sandler once called him one of the greatest actors ever, praising not just his talent, but his kindness on set. Al Pacino described working with him as an honor. Francis Ford Coppola credited him as essential to the emotional backbone of The Godfather. Robert De Niro expressed admiration for his consistency and integrity. Beyond the screen, Duvall was known for his love of Argentine tango, his appreciation of good food and wine, and his life in Virginia horse country. He embraced a quieter lifestyle away from Hollywood's chaos. In Middleburg, he wasn't just a star, he was a neighbor. Even in his 90s, he remained active and engaged. In his final years, he shared heartfelt messages with fans online, expressing gratitude for their decades of support. In one of his last public appearances, he looked reflective but content, a man aware of the life he had lived and proud of the work he had done. The news of his passing has triggered an avalanche of tributes across social media and the entertainment industry. Actors, directors, critics, and fans have shared their favorite scenes and personal memories. Film historians are revisiting his performances, calling him one of the last great actors of the new Hollywood era, a movement in the 1970s that transformed American cinema with bold storytelling and complex characters. There will be no grand public funeral spectacle. According to his family, there will be a private remembrance. They've encouraged fans to celebrate his life by watching his films, sharing stories, and embracing the kind of meaningful conversations he loved so much. Robert Duvall's legacy isn't measured solely in awards or accolades. It's measured in the silence of a theater during one of his scenes. It's measured in the lines that audiences can still recite decades later. It's measured in the actors who studied his performances to learn what authenticity looks like. He wasn't flashy. He wasn't loud. He didn't rely on gimmicks. He relied on truth. And in an industry built on illusion, truth is the rarest gift of all. As we say goodbye to Robert Duvall, we aren't just mourning an actor, we're honoring a craftsman, a storyteller, a man who gave us characters that will live forever. His voice will echo through cinema history, his performances will continue to inspire, and his legacy will remain untouchable. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.